Hey friends, what's up? Philip here with Points of Philip, and I'm excited because one relatively new airline card has their highest sign-up bonus yet, and I wanted to share that with you. So that's what we're going to get into. We're going to talk about the Virgin Red Card, and it's a MasterCard from Synchrony Bank, but we're going to talk about it today because, it's really an interesting card, at least for the first year, because of the sign-up bonus, and we're going to talk about that later. And then we're also going to talk about why you might want these points. So the Virgin Red Card, what is it? So first of all, it comes with a sign-up bonus of 60,000 Virgin points. Now these are Virgin Red points, and that you have to spend $4,000 in the first 90 days in order to get that sign-up bonus. And now 60,000 points is a lot more than it normally is. So when I got the sign-up bonus, it was 40,000 points, which was really nice because it actually enabled me to travel from Manchester, England to Orlando, my home airport, with my wife in upper class. And so those seats that I was able to get with that sign up bonus, in addition to I transferred some points from American Express, but I was able to get business class seats for 45,000 points per person and directly to my home airport, which was really nice. And so I did have to fiddle around with the dates, and we'll talk about how to make those redemptions with these points as well. And so, one of the things that I love about this card is that, first of all, it earns really well, but it gives you some decent benefits, and we'll discuss that as well. Now, it does have an annual fee of $99, and for that $99, you do get some benefits, not necessarily as many as you would on a normal airline card. And we can talk about that later too. But when you use this card for earning, let's take a look at the earnings. You get 3 points per dollar for Virgin, now 3 Virgin points for each dollar you spend on Virgin Atlantic, Virgin Hotels, or Virgin Voyages. And so you have plane options, you have hotel options, and you have options with your cruises as well through Virgin Voyages. And they actually have some pretty compelling cruises as well. And you can actually redeem these points for cruises too, which is pretty interesting. Now, you can also earn 2 points per dollar at grocery stores on eating out and select streaming services and even EV charging, but not gas, which is kind of a weird thing to leave out, but it is what it is. And then you also get 1 point per dollar on everything else. And so, let's take a look at what kind of benefits you can get with this card. So, first of all, we talked about the welcome bonus, which was kind of a big deal, and Virgin would like for you to know as well. And again, that's a record high sign up bonus for this card. When I got it, when it was launched, it was 40,000 points. I think it did a 50,000 points somewhere in December, and then now it's 60,000 points. Now, you also get an anniversary points boost here. So that means after your card member year, you'll get 5,000 Virgin points each year just for staying, which, honestly, if you take it at 1 cent per point, which Virgin points can be worth a lot more, and we'll see that. It can be $50 off of the annual fee if you want to look at it like that. Now, there's also an interesting kind of personal perk. So if you spend $15,000 in this card in a year, you'll get to choose a perk from up to six on offer. So that could be a cabin upgrade from Virgin Atlantic, and that's one step up. So if you're premium economy, that could be upper class. It could go from economy to premium economy. And you also get a bonus night from Virgin Hotels as well. And so that could be really cool. And then you could also use your personal perk for a bar tab of up to $300 when you set sail with Virgin Voyages. And if you spend another 15,000, so a grand total of 30,000, you'll receive a second personal perk. Okay, so in addition to all of those benefits, you do get a third night free at participating Virgin hotels once per calendar year. And that's when you hold, as soon as you hold a card, you can book 3 nights at a Virgin hotel and then get that third night free. Now, this is interesting in particular because some of these hotels, so there's a limited number of Virgin hotels, but there's one in Chicago, Dallas, Las Vegas, Nashville, New Orleans, New York, London, Edinburgh, and Glasgow. And so this is really interesting because it could be $458 a night at the Nashville property. And so that's pretty interesting. You can save some decent amount of money if this coincides with your travel. But let's take a look at kind of the nuts and bolts. So the top lines here of the card are, well, it's kind of a sign-up bonus play. It's issued by Synchrony. It doesn't really earn that particularly well, especially if you are already in the American Express ecosystem. That platinum card gets 5 Amex points per dollar, which you can transfer to Virgin Atlantic. And you can also transfer your Chase points to Virgin. You can also transfer your Capital One points, City points to Virgin. They pretty much take it from anywhere, and so, well, you can use a lot of points. You can use these points for a lot of different things. So let's take a look here. So now that we have this pulled up, we're going to discuss how you can find ways to book Virgin flights, value Virgin flights, using Virgin directly. So let's take a look at the first option here. So we're going to take a look at, we're going to go to, actually, I'm going to change this just a touch. There we go. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're now going to take a look at the departure airport. So I'm actually just going to go ahead and select, let's go ahead and do Atlanta. And then we're going to choose to London Heathrow. And then we're going to pick a month. So we're going to just pick July 2026. And it says find reward seats. So we're going to look here to see what kind of award seats they offer. So, okay, so Atlanta is filling up. So you can see here, there's no saver fares available, but you can see that there's 28,000 points in economy, 180,000 points per seat in premium, and then 275,000 points in upper class on Wednesday, July 1st. So this is pretty interesting. However, we're not finding any actual specific reward redemptions, which is interesting. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do London Heathrow again, and we're just going to pick, let's say, in January 2026. Let's take a look here. Okay, so we're able to play ball a little bit more. So if you take a look at January 2026, what it does is it shows you the calendar, and whenever you have that red label, it means that there is a saver fare. And now, so this is how kind of Virgin does it. So every seat is redeemable for points now through Virgin directly, but they do have limited saver reward seats, and these still kind of hold fast to the old kind of award chart system. And so in order to maximize your Virgin Red points, if you're going to book directly for international travel, well, this is the way to do it. So if you can see here, this is from Atlanta to London. So we have a number of dates available in premium economy, including Tuesday the 13th and Wednesday the 14th. Premium economy seats are 13,500 points each. Now you remember, of course, that you get 5,000 membership or Virgin Atlantic points just by holding the card for each year. And so you get it after your first calendar year. And so basically, essentially, that's enough to cover nearly half of a premium economy seat through Virgin. And so economy here is going to be 7,500 points. But if you want to cherry pick and you want to look for upper class, and so these are the upper class is Virgin Atlantic's most premium tier of class, basically, and so that's essentially business class because it's the same type of seat. And so that's what we're looking at. So business class seat, if you go on Thursday, January 8th, you can see that they're available for 39,000 points. So for 60,000 points, which is what you're looking at, you're able to get either 4 to 5 premium economy tickets over here, or you can get 1.5 upper class tickets. And so if you already are in the credit card game and you have American Express points, or if you have Capital One points or Chase Ultimate Reward points, you can significantly do a lot of damage by just kind of picking around. And I have been on this flight from Atlanta to Heathrow, and they do kind of the newer product most of the time. And so you can actually get a pretty nice upper class experience, again, for 39,000 points per person for one way. And so these saver fares are really what's important here as far as trying to find a way to actually, make sense of these points. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to show you a second kind of superpower of these Virgin points. So I'm just going to go and we're going to go from Orlando to, let's do DCA. Because I do know that Delta does this flight. So one of the great things is that you can actually use Virgin to book Delta flights. So I'm going to give myself a day out. Let's go ahead and go on January 13th of 2026, and we're searching for reward flights. So we're going to take a look and see what our options are with Delta. Okay. So if I wanted to fly this flight, so this is 1950, so this is all European time. So let's say if I wanted to do this one, this is 10:30 a.m. to 12:46. So I'd leave MCO at 10:30 in the morning, arrive in DC at 12:46. So flying with Delta Airlines, and you can see that there is the DL 1003, and again that kind of confirms that. So if we take a look here, we can see that 11,000 points get you a economy class seat, main cabin seat in on a Delta flight. And so if you want to kind of change your time around, you can actually go 41,000 points for domestic first class, which depending on how you value these points may not want to do. Now, let's take a look at why you might care. So what we're going to do is we're going to go over to Delta. Now that I am logged in, we're going to take a look at that same flight. So we're going to go MCO to DCA through Delta directly. So we're going to make sure that we do the same day. So I'm going to go ahead and make sure January 13th of 2026. We're going to do the same day. All right, so January 13th is a Tuesday. All right, so we're going to go ahead and make sure we're hitting shop with miles. So let's take a look at Delta's own website and see the difference. Okay. All right, so we see the lowest is 2,300 miles. So we're going to take a look at this real quick. All right, so let's go ahead and take a look at that same flight. Okay, so then this is actually Delta Maine is 2,300 miles and $6. So this is a really cheap flight. So if you are kind of trying to figure out how to transfer your Amex points and how to make this flight, definitely Delta is really solid directly here. Now, of course, when you're transferring your American Express points, you have to pay an excise fee for any kind of domestic airline carrier. So that is a not insignificant cost, but you can also do, again, Delta First Class on 19,800 points. And if we want to go play around with the timing, you can save even more. And so 10,000 miles for Delta is really nice. Now, of course, to be fair, that is with my card member savings applied. So if you aren't a card member, you could do 2,800 points or 23,300 points. And so I have that take 15 off. So so that's great. That's really, really solid. We kind of lucked out on a date that we weren't really supposed to. So let's take a look here at another date. So we're just going to take a look. Let's see. A little bit further up. So we're going to do September 16th of this year. So we're going to take a look here, and then we're going to change this. So what did I say? October or September 16th. All right, so we're going to change this to September 16th as well. And we're going to see what our options are. So we're going to hit, again, search. All right, so this one here is also pretty cheap. On Delta. So you can see that they have an award chart essentially. So the base model or the base kind of reward redemption is 11,000 points, but you can do that pretty well. At least there really seems to be doing some great options with Delta on this flight. And so having a direct nonstop midday flight with these kind of prices is kind of crazy. Now, what I want to do is I want to look into introduce some difference here. So we're going to go to Louisville, Kentucky, SDF. So this is a flight that I did one time recently with a friend. And so we're going to go there and then we're going to change that out. So I think the same date applies. Yeah, September 16th. So we're going to take a look here at Louisville. So SDF. And same date. All right. So we're going to take a look here. Now this one is 4,500 miles for September 16th. And so this is basically next month. And you can see that I'm already saving a decent chunk of change on these Delta flights. And so Delta is doing pretty good, but if I want to transfer, say, my Capital One miles and fly on Delta, I could do that with 15,000 points. And so this is pretty intriguing. Now, it's definitely clearly, if you're an American Express, you can see that for domestic, you might be better off actually making these redemptions directly with Delta, because you can see that, there's layovers in Atlanta and Dallas. But essentially, this basically makes it so your layovers aren't that bad. Let's take a look here at this layover. Let's take a look at the flight details here. So this is a 49-minute change. Okay, so the layovers aren't that bad either. So that's important to note. Okay, so these flight redemptions are intriguing, right? So you can definitely use your Virgin miles for some great Delta redemptions. They're not as good as booking with Delta directly, but if a Delta transfer partner isn't in your current card ecosystem, let's say that you're with Citi or Capital One or Chase, but you do still want to fly on Delta domestically, you can do pretty well by transferring to Virgin and booking that flight direct, through Virgin. Now, when we see the Virgin points, though, the best options are going to be for those saver fares through Virgin directly. And so if you're trying to travel to Manchester or London Heathrow, this is going to be a solid option for you for a vacation. Now, one thing you do have to worry about, of course, are the fees. Now, the Virgin Atlantic fees aren't as bad as British Airways kind of taxes and fees, but they're not the best. And you will be finding those if you're flying into Manchester or London Heathrow. In fact, you'll be seeing actually, so they're actually a little bit more when you're trying to fly from London. Than if you're trying to travel to London. So that's important to note. But anyway, so this Virgin Atlantic Red Card is really a solid way to kind of book that international trip. So if you're looking to book another 60,000 points, or if you're looking to boost your point totals, this can be a really solid option. So anyway, thanks so much for listening, and I can't wait to see you guys until next time. Bye.